Okay, good afternoon. This is Ruben Ibrahimov, and today is Wednesday, April 10th. And I wanted to speak to you about the season, the Jewish season. There were the establishment of the Jewish New Year in the Torah that states, I'll say in Hebrew, then translate, HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem Rosh Chodoshim. This month, while the Israelites were still in Egypt in the year 2448, God announces that you are about to participate in the greatest jailbreak of all time after 400 years of slavery in Egypt. And now we are going to see what happens when it says, HaChodesh Elochem, this month is the month for you. You are now free people. And time is what you choose to do with it. And it wasn't only that it was a new month, it was also a new year. And Jewish New Year, today, if you ask somebody, they'll give you a quick answer to say, oh, the Jewish New Year, it's in September, Rosh Hashanah. And then I'll say, oh, really? Because just to complicate things, Judaism has four Rosh Hashanahs, 4 New Years. Let me explain. There's the one that you're familiar with in September, called Rosh Hashanah. That is the new year. And we also celebrate a second Rosh Hashanah, Tu B'Shvat. It's the 15th of the month of Shvat, and it is the spring holiday, New Year, and it is a celebration of the Ilanot, of the trees. And we have a Seder, like you have a Passover Seder, you have a Seder celebrating the fruits that are growing in the new season. Number 3, Rosh Hashanah, is this one now. That yesterday was the new lunar month. It originally was called Chodesh Harishon, the first month. It's interesting because Jewish calendar uses the Babylonian names. Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev is not Jewish. It's a Babylonian name, and you could tell that it was picked up, integrated, and added to the calendar once they went into the Babylonian exile. The Babylonian exile lasted 70 years, starting in 586 BCE, roughly 3,300 years from creation, whatever. So that is what was originally the Rosh Hashanah, was right now, first month, first of the year. It was also known as the Rosh Hashanah for Milachim, the Rosh Hashanah for kings. So now you say, what's that? Well, there was a time when Israel had kings, King David, King Solomon, and they would record how many years this king was sitting on the throne. Interesting. If somebody was appointed king, let's just call it a month earlier, and then now the Rosh Chodesh, the new month, which was also the Rosh Hashanah, it was considered that this person was now king for 2 years. He didn't have to complete a full year. Any part of a year was counted. Then the Rosh Chodesh started the second year. Okay, so there were 4. The fourth Rosh Hashanah, the fourth new year, if you have the new year in an agricultural society, a Tu B'Shvat, then you also have something that was called Rosh Hashanah, Rosh, the beginning, the head, Hashanah, a year, La Behemot, for the animals, that there was a cattle tax. And this was in the 11th month of the year, summertime, where from year to year, if somebody had 1,000 head of cattle the year before, and now he has 1,100 head of cattle, he would pay the tithes, the ma'aser, the tenths, and he would give 10% of the increase that he had in the heads of cattle. Now, this previous Shabbat was known as a special Shabbat, Shabbat HaChodesh, the month. It was part of a group of 4 special Haftorahs before Passover and also Purim time. The first one was called Shabbat Shekalim. Shekel, coins, is what we needed to do once a year is to stand up and be counted by a half shekel, so they'd count that. Also, the temple needed renovation, so that money would go to that, and that's Shabbat Shekalim. The next week of the 4, second out of the 4 special Haftorahs was Shabbat Zachor. The first one was money, shekalim. Now Zachor, memory. And the Zachor is, what did the nation of Amalek, your cousins, Jacob and Esau, then Esau became the head of Edom, and part of the other nations at the time were called the Amalekites. And if you can imagine this, as the Israelites left Egypt, all 600,000 of them, listen, there were certain ones that trailed behind. And those that trailed behind were attacked from behind by these Amalekites, these helpless people. They were attacked by the Amalekites. And let's just say they did bad things to those unfortunate people. So God says, you got to wipe out these people. You got to destroy the memory of the Amalekites and the mentality of the Amalekites, because they were pagans, and pagan religion would bring the deity. Everybody had a god, but the pagans would say, you know what, let's bring the god down to our level. Whereas in monotheism, in Judaism, we want to elevate God to God, elevate ourselves spiritually to God. So that was the second week of Parashat Zachor. Make sure your enemies don't do the same trick again on you. Then, in preparation for Passover, one had to elevate themselves spiritually in order to offer up the Paschal lamb, Passover. So now, the third week was known as Parashat Parah, the heifer. And it's interesting because you have the golden calf, the red heifer, and that was that if someone owned a cow or a bull, they hit the jackpot in ancient times. All you would do is give them water to drink and some grass, and that you could milk them. They could have more children, the cows. Other things would be if you decided to kill the animal, you had the meat, you had the leather, you had the horns. It was a good thing to have a cow, not in the emotional sense. So that was Parshat Parah, the red heifer, that they would burn a red hair, every hair was red. They would sacrifice this red heifer, mix the ashes with water, and if somebody had come in contact with a dead body or any other reason that would render them impure, this sprinkling of this red heifer ashes, waters, would then reverse or reset their spiritual holiness. Okay, 4 out of the 4 special Haftorahs was last Shabbat. It was called Parashat HaChodesh. Comes from the book of Ezekiel. And Ezekiel is talking about The future temple, whether it was the second one or the third one, we'll see. But he's talking about the purity of the Jewish people and how they would come to the temple to worship God on these holidays. So we're all getting ourselves ready for spiritual purification for the holidays. Then, also, Passover is one of the 3 pilgrimage holidays. First one was Chag HaAviv, was the springtime holiday. The second one was Chag HaKatsir, 7 weeks later. Like you count the Omer for 7 weeks, you got 7 weeks till you got to the next holiday, which was Chag HaKatsir. These are the agricultural holiday names. And then finally, in the fall, 6 months after Chag HaAviv, the springtime holiday, you had Chag HaAsif, the holiday of the ingathering. 80% of what you ate was grain-based, wheat, barley. So it was crucial that we had bumper crops and a blessing for the crops. So those are the 3 agricultural pilgrimage holidays. You have 3 other holidays celebrated simultaneously or concurrently: Chag HaAviv and Passover, same days. Then you had Chag HaKatsir, the cutting of the grain, and that was also Chag Shavuot, 7 weeks after Passover. Also, Pentecost, 50 days after Passover. And then lastly was Sukkot, Chag Sukkot, which was the biggest celebration that they had in temple times, where they would have a simcha and parties of the retrieving of the water, and you had your palms and your citrons, lulav and esrog, and it was a tremendous time of celebration. So that's a little bit about what's happening this time of year. And I wanted to thank you for listening up until now. Please share this with your friends. Replay it if you want. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. So, lots of interesting things going on. I thank you all. Happy holiday. Chag Sameach. Moadim l'simcha. Happy holidays. Rosh Chodesh Tov was a new month. But if we say, wait a minute, it was also Rosh Hashanah. It was the new year for the kings. It was called La Milachim. Well, then, I wish you all a happy new year. Shana Tova. Love you.